So what's going on? So on this completely random day, I decided that I'm going to be talking just about like life and stuff and just different things that I have that, just relates to school and stuff and just stuff along that line, you know? So obviously, being the god gamer that I am and being just so cool, it puts me ahead of every single other person in my school because they're not as big of gamers as I am, also known as they have social lives. So obviously, being me, I do everything in my power to just make them feel the slightest bit uncomfortable. Not because I find it funny, but just because I just like inconveniencing people. So yeah, one of the things that I used to do in order to like make people slightly uncomfortable is that inside of middle school, I just like stare at them. Like I wouldn't do anything, and then like if they reacted, then I'd keep on doing it. If they didn't react, then I'd stop doing it. But most of the time they reacted to it, so I kept on doing it. But there was this one guy in particular who I just like specifically did that with him because he just had the same reaction of just, "Hey, bro, why are you staring at me?" And then also because he was slightly annoying, and by slightly annoying I mean quite annoying because he was just very much so like somebody who people like in my opinion, I thought that everybody loved that guy for no reason. Like personally, I didn't like him. I honestly saw no redeeming qualities in him. Um, but still, just I knew that like a bunch of people like went to kindergarten with him. Is kindergarten a universal term? I don't know. But point is that like a bunch of people knew the guy, and in fact, he and one of his best friends were voted like most dynamic duo or something. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention during that. I just knew that me and my friend weren't gonna get that, so I didn't pay attention during that, and I knew that I was getting any of the rewards, so why care? And so obviously, not paying attention to that means that I just did not know what was going on. I think that they got dynamic duo. I'm not entirely certain on that, but it might be correct. And if that's wrong, then you can't correct me on that because how could you? You weren't there, and even if you were there, how would you know? But every single person that I like talked to about it, just or no, every person that I heard talking about it, just they talked about how they thought that he did not deserve that and how they found them annoying. And immediately I was just like, oh my god, I thought that people loved this guy. What the hell? But yeah, it turns out a bunch of other people hated them, and yeah. So yeah, me and this guy, like, we barely talked. The only time that we talked was during this one class that we specifically shared together, because there were two other people in the class, despite like besides us, and I either had the option of talking to those people, talking to him, or sitting alone. So obviously, I sat alone and did nothing of use because we were just sitting in the office, just checking people out of class and stuff because parents would pick them up and say, yeah, no, they have a doctor's appointment, but we all know that they didn't. Every single person would tell you that. And it's not like when you first get to school, like in kindergarten, you think of that as just like oh my god, I'm telling such a big lie and stuff. Or at least that's when I heard that for the first time, that's what I thought. But as it kept on happening, where I'd hear over the PA system, I just hear like, "Excuse me, Jonathan Smith." I've never met anyone named Jonathan or with the last name Smith. And they were just like, "Hey, can you send him down to the office for a second? He's going home." For a second, he's going home. And then they'd ask like, "Hey, why are they going home?" And so obviously they'd say like, "Oh yeah, no, they're actually going to the hospital to go and do whatever the hell they're gonna do." And so yeah. I think there's only been one time where like I just I went to the class and I like actually didn't get an excuse that wasn't just like, oh yeah, no, we just we need to go to the hospital for medical reasons. There's one time, and the only time that I can remember, where somebody was like I just said, okay, what was the reason? And then they were just like, death in the family, which I get that you're like vulnerable at that point, but so obviously I didn't want to write death in the family because one, that'd make me slightly bit sad because I have a small moral compass despite not showing it often. And something about that is that when I was just sitting there, I was just like, okay, that's cool, I guess. But I don't think that I can fit that on the whole paper, so I'll just write personal because a bunch of people would like put personal. But eventually, a couple months later, I found out that if they put personal, then they won't count it as an actual like thing, as an actual reason for them to leave. So pretty much that person just had an unexcused absence because I didn't feel like writing death in the family. And every other day that I'm not thinking about like what I'm gonna do with my life when this YouTube thing inevitably fails, I'm just like, what if I that maybe it was a stupid decision of mine to just like put personal on there because it's like it just is one of those things where so that was the end of that video. If you enjoyed it, then leave a like or whatever I said in the last video, and if you got the bit, there was none, so yeah, just ignore if you thought there was a bit, there was none, so trust me on that. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna go and die for content because I haven't died enough in this video, and I think I played like 10 games, so alright, cool.